Why do we not have Battlefront 3? Like, seriously, why do we not actually have any sort of information around a Battlefront 3? If anything, an 8-year-old game has now seen a massive resurgence and an entire community rally together in support of a game that they all love and a franchise that they all love, being Star Wars. Why is nobody taking the reins on this? Why has nobody put their hand up and gone, I'll do it? Or alternatively, because we don't know, this isn't the answer, why has Disney or Lucasfilm Games or whoever is in charge said, hey, let's give someone a shot to make a really cool multiplayer Star Wars game that from launch performs well? And that's a key point, because if you think back to Battlefront 2 and when it started, it was horrendous at launch. Like the loot box system, the microtransactions, Vader and Luke being stuck behind a 100-hour grind paywall. Could you imagine if they hadn't rectified that and we all sat there for 100 hours to play Luke and Vader and just accepted it? No. We spoke up, we complained, we gave feedback, and that is ultimately what turned the game around and made it what it is today. That, on top of the countless updates and hours that the developers put into working on Clone Wars content, new heroes, new maps, everything else that sort of got added into the game and included, these things should all be noticed and brought back for Battlefront 3. I'm one that's quick to say that I would love the EA to do Battlefront 3. I know most of you probably would hate that because of how Battlefront 2 launched, but if you look at the care and the passion that the developers took and then put into Battlefront 2 in the last couple of years of its service, they really cared. It was almost like they had been told by somebody else above them, hint, hint, that this game needs to make money outside of just the game's sales. And when you do that, you create this beast and this false sense of security that, oh, my game's going to have microtransactions in it and it's going to make me money. Guys, this isn't EAFC. This isn't FIFA. Like, you can't just expect people to pay $60 to $100 for a game and then drop thousands more inside the store. The reason battle royales usually work well is because they're free and then they have paid options. But you didn't make Battlefront 2 free. And I doubt you'll make a Battlefront 3 free if that ever happens too. But it doesn't mean you can't make money off it. Tie it to the cosmetics. We saw this in the back half of Battlefront 2. And I think we can take that and learn from it and apply it to a Battlefront 3, or drop the Battlefront name and just give us another Star Wars multiplayer shooter, because that's realistically what everyone's crying out for in the Star Wars community right now. It's not, I mean, as much as I'm excited for the next Jedi game, and I really think it's going to be great, I would much rather have a Battlefront 3 before Jedi 3. You can roast me in the comments if you want to roast me in the comments, but that's just how I see it. I feel like, you know, for Star Wars games in general, to have a consistent and an ongoing support for those games, you need to have a multiplayer game that can be played every single day for a couple of years. And then in between that, you need to have these single player releases. And now that the, I guess, exclusivity doesn't just belong to EA anymore, you can actually do that, right? So you need to find a studio that is going to pump out a really good multiplayer game that can last 3, 4, 5 years like Battlefront 2 did. I mean, it's almost 8 years since Battlefront 2 came out and it's still got a cult following, right? There's still a really core and strong community behind it. So you need to be able to make that and take the fans from Battlefront 2 that are still playing and are still loyal and still love it, or maybe those that don't play it anymore because they've been playing it for 8 years and they're now bored of it, and give them a new outlet in another Star Wars multiplayer game. Because if you take the momentum off what there is now, if they had been prepping for this and they had a Battlefront 3 or another multiplayer game in the works and they announced it tomorrow, how many people from Battlefront 2 would jump ship straight away to this new Star Wars game? And it would just make so much money. Absolutely would make so much money. I just don't understand where the logic is coming from. And you can fight in the comments about it if you want to, but I truly just believe that if we had a single player game every couple of years, as well as a multiplayer game that just consistently sought throughout the years while they're developing all of these other games, we would really be raking it in. If you look from a like overall monetary perspective, if you have a multiplayer game that works really well and you can continue adding to it and it is going to make money off things like cosmetics, then I don't see what the issue is here, because the EA people or whoever is up in charge says, oh, well, we have to pay licensing fees and we have to pay. You're still making Jedi Survivor or Jedi 3. You're still making Zero Company. Don't tell me the licensing costs too much. You have 2 other games in development. There are other studios making Star Wars games, right? So licensing fees can't be the top of the concern. The concern is probably that Battlefront 2 had a terrible launch and they're scared to do it again. So now they're pumping everything into Battlefield, which, don't get me wrong, the new Battlefield looks great and I'm pretty excited to play it. But I just think that if you're going to go into a Star Wars game, you're going to know that there are so many loyal fans that will play any sort of Star Wars media you put in front of them. People play Galaxy of Heroes. People play Star Wars Hunters when it was available. People still play Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. I platinumed those 2 games recently on my other channel and people still watched. They loved it. They were like, oh my God, I love this game. This game takes me back, or this game is so nostalgic for me, or this, I loved playing this through for the first time. So it's cool to see a full platinum trophy run. Like, people just love watching Star Wars content. People love playing Star Wars content. And I just don't understand how whoever is in charge of this doesn't understand that this momentum behind Battlefront 2 is something that is an anomaly, right? You take a game that is at the time, like probably 7.5 years old, completely dormant. And then all of a sudden, one spark reaction, you make the game super cheap on sale. A bunch of people pick it up for May 4th and absolute mayhem breaks loose with how many people jump onto the game that your servers can't even handle it anymore, because they're broken all-time player highs for concurrent players at a single given time. Multiple times. I saw Bombastic like every 3 days, like, we broke the record again. And I'm like, I love this guy because he's really like nailing it home to those people that, you know, probably watch his channel because it's a lot bigger than the rest of us. And, you know, maybe at some point they will watch his video saying, how do we not have Battlefront 3, and go, look, there are so many people in his comments section saying, oh, let's make it. Maybe there's, you know, that trickles down to this video. And then there's so many people in this comments section saying, we need Battlefront 3, or we need another multiplayer Star Wars game. So I feel like there's just so much out there for Star Wars fans that they need, or not need, but that they would take advantage of if they got it. You know, if we had, after 8 years, a brand new multiplayer Star Wars game that was similar in ways to Battlefront 2, and whether it had a Battlefront name or not, kind of played in a similar sense of that game style, whereas you've got different game modes, maybe not as many game modes, because I feel like Battlefront 2 spread it a little bit too thin, but you could do limited time game modes like they used to do with Jetpack Cargo and a few of those other game modes. I actually used to really love Jetpack Cargo. That mode was so fun. But, you know, I think that with how much noise we're making, it needs to be like almost impossible to ignore, right? Because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people jumping on Battlefront 2 again, or thousands and thousands and thousands of people jumping on Battlefront 2 for the first time because it's now cheap and it's on sale and you can pick it up really easily. There are so many low-level players. No matter whether I play on PS5 or I jump on PC, there are so many low-level players. And that just shows me that there are new people popping into this game every single day, super excited, getting a brand new Star Wars experience. And it's probably because of the way the game launched, right? You know, people tend to hold out a little bit once a game's been out for a month or so to hear reviews and what's going on. And all of the media around Battlefront 2 in the beginning was about the microtransactions and how bad it was and the paywalls and all these negative things that I've kind of spoken to in this video. So people just never, ever considered it, right? Whereas now they were able to pick up the game for like $5. They were like, oh, screw it. I feel like playing some Star Wars. Let me jump on. This is going to be sick. They get in and they're absolutely hooked. They're addicted. They jump in. They see all of their favorite heroes that they're able to play. They see a ton of different classes that they can play. They see reinforcements. And on top of that, you've got a really cool progression system where you can unlock different benefits for each of those classes and each of those heroes and mold it to the play style that you want or the game mode that you want realistically. Because when you think about it, you have different star cards for heroes versus villains than you would for like a Supremacy or a Galactic Assault. So it's like when you go into these game modes, you need to think about that. And that gives someone something to work towards. You know, it's not super easy to get a hero to level 25 so that you've got purple cards to then apply to that hero. And on top of that, you've got to have the star cards to be able to deck out the ones you want. So if you've spent them on other skills that maybe you didn't need or you didn't realize were ones that you wanted at the time, you then now play and enjoy the game a little bit more so that you can unlock those cards that you do want. It's a great system and it works. And if they were to do something similar to that in a Battlefront 3 or another multiplayer game that was similar as such, they would have people addicted for hours and hours and hours on end. The game would last years. It would. And as long as you freshened it up every now and then with a bit of DLC and maybe another hero or two here and there and a map or, you know, a limited time game mode or something like that to keep people coming back and having fun, I think you've got a recipe for success. And I just don't understand why nobody has actually said anything. They might be working on it. I don't know. It could be in the background. Who knows? Who actually knows what is going on over there except for them? But give us something. Give us a small ray of hope that we're actually going to get a multiplayer Star Wars game at some point in the near future. Because if not, you know, we keep playing Battlefront 2. What are we going to be at the 10-year mark since the game's release and we're still going to be playing the same game? How much proof after that do you need that people love Star Wars multiplayer games? I really don't think you need much more, because if we are at 8 years now and we're still setting all-time player count highs, geez, man, like that's enough to me to go, okay, we need to do something here. But that's all. I'm going to stop rambling now. This was completely off the cuff and I just wanted to get this out there. So I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you're brand new, and comment down below. Give me Battlefront 3 because I want to see some support in the comments for a brand new game, because I know you guys all want it. I want it, and I will see you guys next time.